Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. As you saw in the topic, we are going to talk about something crucial that people think your success is dependent on how much intelligent you are, how capable you are, or how lucky you are sometimes. But actually, that's not the case. So let's dive deep into the video, and I'm gonna tell you so many incredible stuff about our brain and how you can wire and rewire actually your brain to the situation that it can work for you, not against you. Your brain is probably sabotaging your success and you don't even notice. I want you to say that. Have you ever noticed something strange about success? Because you may seem someone who is really hardworking, but there are two people can have the same intelligence, the same opportunities, maybe even the same education. And yet, one of them keeps moving forward in life while the other feels stuck in the exact same place for years. And from the outside, it looks like discipline or motivation or maybe sometimes luck. People call it, oh, he was just lucky. She was just having some pretty privilege. But that's not the case. Neuroscience suggests something much deeper is happening. The truth is, your brain was not designed to make you successful. Your brain was designed to keep you safe. So, whenever you try to increase the outcome, your brain starts to say, oh no, stop. Sometimes those two goals are completely different. Today, I want to take you inside the hidden psychology of why your brain often sabotages your success and why some people seem to overcome that instinct more easily than others. Your brain is built for survival, not success. To understand this, we need to go back about 200,000 years ago. For most of human history, survival depended on avoiding danger, conserving energy, and sticking to familiar patterns. Your brain evolved to prioritize three main things: safety, energy, and social belonging. It's not about your brain wants to innovate something new or wants to be ambition or building a business or mastering complex skills. The part of your brain responsible for these survival instincts is called the amygdala. Yes, you heard it right. The amygdala constantly scans your environment for threats. And here's the interesting part, which I truly fascinated about this. Your brain doesn't always distinguish between physical threats and psychological discomfort. To your brain, things like public speaking, taking a big risk, starting a new outcome, starting a new business, or starting something new, facing possible failure, can trigger the same threat response that our ancestors felt when they encountered danger. Which means every time you try to grow or change something in your life, a part of your brain might quietly try to stop you. Not because you're incapable, but because your brain thinks it is protecting you. The next one, the dopamine trap. Now, I want you to think about the dopamine, which is the most powerful chemical in your brain. Yes, this chemical can trigger the feeling of happiness. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical, but that's actually not entirely accurate. Dopamine is more about motivation and reward prediction. It drives you toward things your brain believes are rewarding. Thousands of years ago, dopamine helped humans to survive. It simply motivated people to hunt, explore, find food, and form social connections. But in the modern world, something unusual happened. We created artificial dopamine shortcuts, which are social media and endless scrolling, using some medications that I don't want to mention their names, notifications, and basically short form entertainments. All are addictives. All these things provide quick bursts of dopamine without requiring effort. And when your brain gets used to these easy rewards, something subtle starts happening. Difficult, long term goals start to feel less appealing. Studying for months, building a career, learning complex skills, your brain compares these slow rewards to the instant stimulation it is used to receiving. And suddenly, the hard things feel even harder. Not because you are lazy, but because your reward system has been rewired toward immediate gratification. The procrastination circuit. Let's talk about procrastination. I'm sure every one of you have faced this problem at least once in their whole lives. People often think procrastination is simply poor discipline, but neuroscience shows that procrastination is actually related to emotional regulation. When we face tasks that feel uncertain, difficult, or overwhelming, the brain activates the limbic system, which processes emotional discomfort. It's fascinating, right? Like, I am truly entertained with this piece of data. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for planning and decision making, tries to keep us focused on long term goals. So there is a small internal conflict happening. Two different parts of the brain are commanding different stuff. One part of the brain wants immediate relief from stress, and the other part wants long term progress. When the emotional discomfort becomes too strong, the brain chooses the faster solution: avoidance. Scrolling your phone, just not caring about the task that you have to get done, watching videos, cleaning your room instead of doing the difficult task. All of these things, actually, it is not your fault. It is your brain's choice. In that moment, procrastination actually reduces stress temporarily. But over time, it creates frustration and guilt, which only reinforces the cycle. Why some people break this pattern? So, if our brains naturally avoid discomfort and chase easy rewards, why do some people consistently succeed in their lives? How do they do that? You know what is the answer? The answer isn't that their brains are completely different or they're super ambitious. The difference lies in how they train their brains to respond to discomfort. Highly successful individuals tend to develop a stronger connection between the prefrontal cortex and the reward system. In simple terms, they gradually teach their brain to associate effort with reward. This is sometimes called effort based dopamine. Yeah, you heard it right. They rewire their own brains, which is intentional. Instead of only feeling rewarded after the final result, they begin to experience satisfaction during the process itself. Learning, practicing, improving, or let's say they're on a journey to reach specific goals, they stop chasing the result and they start to look for how they can enjoy the process. That changes everything because once effort itself becomes satisfying, consistency becomes much easier. You don't have to look for only the result that you need to have. The failure reframe. I want you to reframe the word failure for yourself. Another major difference involves how the brain interprets failure. So, whenever you're not able to get the result that you promised yourself that you would get in a certain time, you have to actually give yourself more time. You don't have to criticize yourself. It's not you or the circumstances. Don't give excuses. I don't mean that you should always take things easy. Research in cognitive psychology suggests that people who continue progressing tend to reinterpret failure differently. Instead of seeing failure as a threat to identify, they treat it as feedback. In medical and psychological research, this mindset is often associated with growth oriented cognition. The brain begins asking a different question: why did I fail? What was the problem with me? What I could do better? But instead, you should ask, what can this teach me? It is not happening to me, it is happening for me. That shift reduces the emotional threat response, which means the brain becomes less afraid of trying again. The encouraging part is that the brain patterns are not fixed. Thank God, right? The brain is remarkably adaptable. A property called neuroplasticity allows neural circuits to strengthen or weaken depending on repeated behavior, which means the habits you practice daily gradually reshape how your brain processes effort, reward, and discomfort. Some practical strategies include reducing constant dopamine stimulation, giving your brain time without endless digital input can help restore sensitivity to slower rewards. And I want you to break difficult goals into smaller milestones. So this way, you wouldn't feel like, oh my God, this task is such a hard thing to achieve. Each completed step releases small amounts of dopamine and reinforce motivation and practicing discomfort intentionally. Activities like exercise, learning new skills, or challenging conversations gradually teach the brain that discomfort is not dangerous. Over time, the brain becomes less reactive to stress and more tolerant of effort. When you look at people who seem to always win in life, it can feel like they have something special: more discipline, more intelligence. They're absolutely more lucky and they're more talented than me. I've never had the chance to be in their shoes and yada yada yada. But often the real difference is something deeper, which is lying in their neuroplasticity rewiring system. They learned how their brain works. And instead of fighting against it blindly, they wanted to train it and they are succeed. Success isn't just about willpower. It is about understanding the ancient survival machine inside your head, which is your brain, and teaching it how growth is not a threat, it's an opportunity. You have this opportunity, so if you don't take it, you're losing it every day. Once your brain begins to see effort, challenge, and learning as rewarding rather than dangerous, everything starts to change. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about neuroplasticity and your brain, which is the most incredible creature in your whole body, just hit me up and subscribe to my channel and like this video, share to whom they may need, and share to whom they may need this video. Thank you for your time and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.